Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am just Shani, and today we're going to be watching TikTok scary stories. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and ring that bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. I need to clip my nails, honey. Oh, let's just get into this.
Okay, I have been wanting to tell this story because I lived in the Midwest for 3 years, and there is something weird about the Midwest. Like, there is just some creepy stuff that goes down there. There's a lot of old houses there. Um, and anyway, I lived in the Midwest for 3 years in this town called Creston, Iowa, and I went to a music school out there, and it was a really creepy house. It was called the Dollhouse. And it kind of notoriously known to be like the music school party house. And the reason why we called it the Dollhouse was because it was a giant Victorian style house that was like Pepto-Bismol pink and had like white trim and everything. And all the rooms were like a different pastel color. It was cute. It was a really cute house, but weird things, honestly, when I was alone there, like there was some weird things that happened. I was rarely alone because again, it was a party house, but it was just when I was alone, it was kind of weird. But basically, I want to tell you guys a story about the time that a ghost just decided to pretend to be my roommate. It was very strange. I still to this day cannot explain it, but it revolves around spring break. So spring break rolled around that year, and I was super inseparable with this one chick, and she would pick me up in the morning, and she would drop me off at night, and um and at the time, like for that spring break, the only roommates in the house were me and my roommate Tim, because everybody else decided to go home for spring break, right, to their own respective towns or states, right. I had four roommates, by the way. So um and the and I didn't really it wasn't uncommon for me to like kind of go days without talking to Tim because again, he was older, he was kind of keep to himself kind of guy, and he would hole himself in his room and practice and stuff, and the way to get to his room was kind of weird too. Like, you had to go through Mike's bedroom to get to his room. Like, you had to go through Mike's bedroom to a little hallway that had like a little bathroom that they shared, and then into his bedroom. Or you could go through the dining room and go up this secret stairwell into the floor of Tim's bedroom. It was like a hatch that you would like open, and it was the floor of his bedroom. It was really weird. But it was kind of like I said, it was common for him to kind of hole himself in the room and not like come out. And so for me, it was just normal to not see him for days on end sometimes. Or I would see him like in class or whatever, and like in rehearsal or whatever for choir. But other than that, like I didn't see him at home hardly unless we were having a party or something, you know? And long story short, I would come home late at night, like every night, well after midnight. This girl would drop me off after our, little shenanigans that we would get into during the day, and then I would look up and his bedroom light would be on in the window. I would see it every night. I would see it, and it gave me comfort to know that I wasn't by myself, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool, Tim's home. And then I would go. It was weird because, like I said, he was a very quiet guy, and he very kept to himself and stuff. And I remember going to bed every night, and every night I would hear him walking around. And he was like, I mean, he was tall. I think he was like something crazy, like 6'3" or 6'5" or something. He was tall. People would call him Tree, like Tim the Tree. Like, that's how tall he was. So, um, he wasn't a quiet walker. He was a dude. He was a big dude. So you would hear him walking around, and the house was old, so it would creak, and like, it was the walls were thin. So I would hear him walking around, and I would hear him going into my bathroom, which was right outside in the hallway, because my bathroom had the laundry. And I remember because it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would hear him, and the water would be running in the drum of the washer, and I would hear him open and close the washer and dryer doors. And they were old washer and dryers, so it was like you could hear they were loud, you know. So I was like, okay, so that's weird, but, like, I didn't judge him because, like, everybody has their own routine, I guess, like, and so I was like, "Okay, that's weird, but whatever." And this happened every night that week. Like, I would hear him walking around, and I would already be in bed, so there was really no point in me getting up to check on him because I was tired from the day, or, like, I would just be, like, in bed, and I would already be in bed, so I was like, "Why am I gonna get up?" So Saturday rolls around and I am in the freezer, like, and the fridge is right next to the door, like literally right next to the back door of our house. And I had opened up the freezer and I was digging around in there and I hear the back door open, and I look and it's Tim, and he has like bags, like travel bags and a backpack and stuff. And I was like, "Where are you going?" And he was like, what do you mean I'm coming home?" And I was like, "What do you mean you're coming home?" And he was like, "Yeah, I decided to go to the Twin Cities with Forrest." And I was like, "What do you mean you decided to go to the Twin Cities with Forrest?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How long have you been gone?" And he was like, "Oh, the whole week." And I was like, "What the hell? You're joking, right?" I was like, "Someone's in the house, like it's great." And so I tell him everything, right? I'm like freaking out. We go upstairs, go into his bedroom, everything is as he left it. And the light is off, like turned off. And I was like, "I swear I saw it on every day. I heard you walking around at night." I was like, "There's no way." Like I couldn't figure out why or how this happened. And I was freaking out, right? And still to this day, I don't know who was in the house. I really don't. And it baffles me to this day. And there were other instances before that instance that scared the shit out of me. Like, there's people outside my door right here. But basically, yeah, it was just like weird things would happen. I remember one time I was like in my room and I was like writing on a piece of paper. I didn't have a desk, so I would like sprawl out my all my paperwork, all my handwritten assignments, and I would write it, on the floor. I would be on the floor, and I looked up. You know when you get that feeling when you know like somebody's approaching your door and they're about to knock on the door, you kind of already preemptively look up because you already know that they're there. Like that's the feeling I got. And so like I look up at the door and the door you had to jam it shut. So when you opened it, because it was like a swollen wood and the latch didn't work, so like you had to jam it shut because the wood was swollen, and every time you'd open it, it would literally make a big popping noise every time you would open the door. And I remember I look up having that feeling like someone was approaching my door, and it pops open. And I'm thinking somebody's there, and nobody was there. So I go outside and I look, literally no one's there. And I see that there's a window at the end of the hallway and it's open. So I was like, okay, let me just close that. So I close the window and I go back into my room and I jam it shut and I start doing my homework again. And like a few minutes later, I feel that same feeling like someone's approaching my door. As I look over at the door and it pops open, but this time it starts to creak open. So I get up right away. Like I get up really quick and I go outside and I'm like, "Mike," because Mike lived right next door to me. And I was like, "Mike, is that you?" And like I was like freaking out, right? Nothing. Nobody. I was by myself in the house. By my damn self. It was creepy. And I just got all my stuff and I ran out and I went to the school and I finished my homework there. And yeah, and then like I said, every time I was alone after that, which like I said was rare, but every on the few occasions that I was, like weird things would happen. Like I would hear footsteps running up and down the stairs, or I would hear like Mike or somebody, one of my roommates, calling my name, and then I would go and look for them, and they weren't there. Or I would hear the front door like open and close as if someone was coming in, but then nobody was there. It was just weird things. And I don't think that the like ghost was like bad because I feel like I don't know, I feel like I felt like really negative energy before, I didn't get that feeling from it, but it was just like mischievous energy, I guess. I don't know, but it was just weird, and it just felt like there was somebody in that house. Like I don't know. It was just weird stuff. Weird stuff would happen, and that's basically my ghost story that I don't think anybody would believe me, but I mean, that's my tale.
I don't know if it happened on your side, but on my side, the moment she started talking about her door popping by itself in and out in that window, it got out of sync. The sound with her talking, with the lip moving, was not in sync anymore. And I was just like, hmm. Would it be better to be a delusion, like go that whole week thinking that somebody's there, or finding out nobody's there, like in the moment. Like, I'm assuming it was a week off, so on Tuesday you decided, hey, or Wednesday you decide, hey, I'm gonna get up and just check on this person. You hear the laundry, the washroom, the wash machine running, and you go looking and investigating and can't find nobody. So on Thursday, when it happens again, you get up and try to find somebody and you don't find. Would it be worse to find out in the moment or afterwards? I feel like it will be worse to find out in the moment. In the moment, I would probably be okay with living with that delusion, just living in the delusion. Like, what? No, stop it. Not, because what? You had a ghost friend and they was doing laundry. Like, they had laundry. Apparently they wasn't caught up before they went on. Like, they had to catch up on their laundry. Her glasses is lit. Everyone, you have you been noticing people are popping with the glasses? I wonder how much they are, because these glasses, I need new glasses. These glasses was like $15, $15 for these glasses, and it's time for new ones. I need to go and get an eye exam because it's definitely time. But $15 for these clear glasses, honey. We ain't got we on budget. Balling on a budget, honey. Yes, honey. We love cheap. Cheap is everything. If we can't get free, we want cheap. But yeah, friend, no, I would not like that. I would, cause how do you explain that? All you can explain is it was a ghost. If nobody was in the house but you, I would want to know the history on that house. Like, if someone, passed away or anything, I would want to know what happened, because, well, yeah, yeah, I would do my research, because that would be the only way I would feel okay after that, because I'm pretty sure it worries her and it's always on her mind or in the back of her mind. I would have to do research just to feel better about that, because she was like, oh, it was just a mischievous ghost. It wasn't an evil ghost. Like, I didn't feel the evil presence. So yeah, I would want to do some research.
I can enter the chat now. I thought this whole thread was based on scary ghost stories, but I came across one that actually was kind of like mine. So I was like, oh, I'll share this one. It's not scary. It definitely makes you question things. So yeah. So I'm going to try and preface this without sharing too much information. So this happened about 10 years ago, and I remember it happening like yesterday. I love this story. So just a little background. My grandpa was sick, and I lived in Reno. He lived in Sacramento, so it was a bit of a drive. I was kind of up to date on his whole state, kind of, not entirely, but kind of. But it wasn't until this whole thing that happened that I was like, ah, shit. Okay, so mine's a dream, and I'm going to try my best to explain it. I go into a lot of detail, so hopefully you guys stick with me through this whole thing. I apologize in advance. Okay, we're gonna set the scene. It is my grandpa's house, my grandpa and Tutu's house in Sacramento. That it was a one-story house, and if you know how Hawaiians are, they are hoarders in a way. So there's just junk everywhere. But at the beginning of my dream, I am in actually one of my mom's cars, and I'm sleeping in the car, and I get woken up by someone knocking on the window. And it was a two-car door. What? Two-door car. So I was in the back. I had to move the seat up. They had to open the door, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I get out of the car and I'm wrapped in a blanket, and this person asks if I'm okay. I've never met this person before, probably seen him or her, can't quite remember, in like a store or something, and their face just projected in my dream. But I was in the driveway of my grandpa's house. And I look at him. I remember feeling confused. I remember feeling very distraught. I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? Again, very vivid. But they ask if I'm okay, and I'm like, yeah. So I close the door and I start walking up the driveway towards the garage. The garage was open. And when I say junk, I had to weasel my way through the garage into the house. And when you go into the garage door to the house, it's the kitchen. We used to have Sunday dinners all the time at this house, so it was like a Sunday dinner gathering. Like, the whole family was there. But I get into the kitchen and I see my dad and two of my uncles. They're just talking, and they see me, and my dad puts his arms around his brothers, And he's like, look, it's my daughter, it's this and that, blah blah blah. And I'm still very confused at this point. And they were it was like they were drunk. Like, that's usually how they get when they get around each other. They just drink. So, confused me. I turned to the right, and when you turn to the right, after you go into the kitchen a little ways, there's an archway that will take you either down the hallway to the left, where the bedrooms are, or to the right, which is the living room. I go through the arch, I look to the right, and I see the living room, and there's just my whole family's in there. It is literally just another Sunday dinner. Everyone's normal, having their own little conversations, whatever. They're in their own little world. I look to the left, and right before you enter the hallway, there's another bedroom, and that's where the kids used to play. So my cousins were in there, and they were playing, watching TV, doing what we do on a Sunday dinner. All of a sudden, I look down the hallway, and my tutu is walking down the hallway. Mind you, my tutu died 10 years ago at this point. But she looked different. She didn't look like how she looked when she passed away. She was younger. She was glowing. And she was so beautiful. Like, her aura was just so different. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm going to say this because this is like a huge thing for me, is before she passed away, she had a swollen stomach because she had, I think it's called NASH. So she had non-alcoholic something. It's something to do with her liver, right? So her stomach was swollen. When she passed away, her stomach wasn't swollen this time. Again, she projected to me that when she was young, like how she felt at her best. And I've been told that that's what happens. And then all of a sudden, I felt this feeling of relief. And I was so excited to see her. I was so happy. I dropped my blanket and I gave her a hug, and I said, I miss you. Oh my God. I wish you were here, blah, 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 right? Just the whole, everything of my emotions and feelings of missing this woman came out. And she had a very heavy accent. Like, it was Hawaiian, pidgin, broken English mixed with Portuguese. So she had a very strong accent, and it came through in my dream, which was amazing. So, with that being said, she was talking to me too. She said, I know, I miss you too. And then she said, he will be okay. He will be okay. Everything's gonna be fine. So confusion hit me, but then shortly after that, it was more so understanding. And then it was just like, I really want to just keep holding you. So I'm not going to question anything that you're saying right now. We end up falling to our knees, hugging each other in a very nice warm embrace. And in my dream, I'm realizing that I'm the only person seeing her right now. Like, no one's flocking to us. No one's like, oh my God. It's just everyone's carrying on about their day or about their Sunday dinner while I'm over here on my knees, bawling my eyes out, hugging my tutu. And then shortly after that, I woke up crying, right? Because I was feeling all the emotions from the dream, and it just came out into real life. But I woke up and I was so sad. Blah, 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 blah. Literally played through my whole dream the next day, wrote it out, tried to get an understanding of what was going on. So, like I told you before, I understood that my grandpa was on borrowed time, and I didn't know how bad his state was really at this point. So after I wrote it all out, made sure that I got every single detail, I called my sister. It was my sister or my mom. Again, this happened 10 years ago. But I called one of them and told them my dream, and I know it was my mom now. The reason I know is because what I'm about to tell you. So I called my mom, told her about my dream, and my mom is the type to not really say much because she didn't want me to worry. So she was like, oh wow, like, that's insane. I can't believe you saw her. She came to you. Like, my mom's really into that kind of stuff too. So she was like, I can't believe she came to see you. That's great. That's so great. And I kept asking her, I was like, what does she mean? Like, what does she mean by everything's gonna be okay? Like, I can't figure that out. She goes, I don't know, sweetie. Like, that's just, maybe, are you having a hard time? Like, because I lived in Reno, right? So I was far away from my family. And I'm a huge family person. So my mom was like, are you homesick or something? Homesick? Homesick, Mom? Really? A week later, I get a call. My grandpa passed away. And in that call, because it was from my mom, in that call, my mom said, Tutu came to you to let you know that he was going to be joining her soon. Because no one else was telling me that my grandpa was on his deathbed. Get this, the night I had my dream, my grandpa was on hospice. That was the day he went into hospice. But he requested that he wanted to be in his own house. So he was getting a gurney set up for him that night. And he was to lay in that gurney in his house until his life was over. So yeah, that is my story. And that was the time that my tutu came and visited me in my dream to let me know that my grandpa was going to be okay when he passed.
Oh, that's so sweet. We love dreams like that just to reassure you, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. He's about to come with me. Everything's good. We good. I got him. You know I got him. My great grand passed this year, and I had kind of a similar dream like that, but it wasn't so much of an interaction. It was just like I was there and they were interacting. Like my great grandma has already passed away, and her husband, my great grandfather, we were at their house and we were in the kitchen and they were just interacting, just all lovey dovey. Like it was just like mind blowing because growing up, I didn't see that. I didn't see them all lovey dovey unless, their anniversary or whatever. So, in my dream, they're all lovey dovey and everything. And I was just like, yo, this is really sweet. My grandpa cracking jokes. And it's like they knew I was there, but it was more so about them. And then I think the next day, that's when he went on. And I was just like, dang, that was such a sweet dream. It was nice. It might have been just a reassurance dream, like, hey, they're about to be together again. That love is about to reunite. Like, this is beautiful. I love that. I love dreams like that. Yeah, love that.
There are so many different stories that I'd love to tell you guys, but this one is probably one of the most scariest. So I don't live with them now. About 6 years ago, my son and I, we moved back in to my parents' home. This was the home that I grew up in as a child, and it was built in the 1920s. No one ever passed away on the property, in the house, whatever. Nothing crazy ever happened. It's just an older house in really nice area in the suburbs. Yeah, there's not much history about it, really. Growing up, my mom and I always had just like either weird dreams or we thought that we would see something and sorry, my cat. We thought that we would see something and it just wasn't there, both separately and together as well. So when I moved back in, I moved into the attic, which was actually converted into a bedroom. It was just a long, narrow room. It's pretty large, but it was narrow and just long. And then at the end of the attic, there's a big closet. It could be like a walk-in closet type of situation, but it doesn't have a door. Um, yeah, my dad would just put a cloth or, like fabric over it because we just stored a whole bunch of crap back there. One of the reasons why I hated the attic growing up is because it just was kind of dark up there. And also that area, the closet area, was just really weird. Like it would always give me a weird vibe. I've only been into that area a handful of times. So this is important to know. Like the way that you would get into the attic is so you have like the front door. Right at the front door, there's steps going up. So you go up the steps. To the left is a bedroom. I believe at the time it was my sister's room. And then to the right, sorry, left and rights, to the right would be the attic. Now to get up there, you would have to climb up like 3 really short steps and then kind of like crawl in there or hold on to the sides and step in there. It wasn't a full length door. Yeah, it was just really, it was a weird setup, but the door was small and there was always a draft. And so my dad would he put like a latch hook sort of situation at the top. And then on the bottom, he put a deadbolt. So whoever, you know, if one of the kids, we all took turns having the attic as our room at one point. And so in order to keep it closed and stop the draft from coming in, he put a deadbolt on the door. So it's on the bottom of the door and he drilled a hole into the floor and you would just secure it pretty much into the floor. So now that that's all out of the way, one night I was sleeping, everyone in the house was sleeping. My dad was at work, and my mom calls me around 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what the heck? She's right down the hall. Why is she calling me? I pick it up and she says, hey, is Jeremiah down here? Jeremiah's my son. He was sleeping right next to me. I look over and he was right next to me. And she says, and I said, no, he's right here. Why? And she said, because it looks like that there's a kid in the hallway, like in my doorway. And I said hi, but they're still standing there. Are you sure Jeremiah's in the room with you? So I'm like, yes, he is here with me. You know, I asked, was it one of my siblings? And she said, no, they were way too short to be, you know, my other siblings who were they're just a few years younger than me. So they're much taller than what she was describing. So after she confirmed that it was none of my siblings and my son was right there, we were both just pretty freaked out. I didn't go downstairs to check on my mom. I was just like, close your door. I don't know, maybe call dad and see if he can come home from work. But my door was locked, secured. I was like, nothing, don't come up here. So as soon as we say goodnight, she's like, good night. I'm like, good night, love you. See ya in a few hours because it was already morning. Right as soon as that happened, my door, the door that is bolted, just swung open and hit the wall behind it. And so it's just like if you just take a door, swing it open, and it hits the wall behind it. It hit the wall so hard. Of course, it caught me off guard, so I just jumped up and I did run over to the door because I was thinking, okay, maybe my mom ran up here and I don't know, she was the Hulk and just pulled on the door really hard. But no, there was no one behind the door at all. No one. Everyone was still sleeping. My mom, she was still awake because we just got off the phone. She heard and she called me back, and I was like, Mom, the door just swung open. And she was like, what do you mean the door swung open?
Girl, what? There better be a part two. There better be a part. You can't just leave us like, okay.
I got one.
Bruh.
It was Christmas.
Bruh, there was not a part two, bruh. And it's serious because when I made this playlist, because it was just like, oh, we're back on horror stories. Like, I'm so excited. I made sure I went through every video, clicked on their homepage, even liked the video, and made sure that there was not a part two. So, oh, girl, she had left us on a cliffhanger because what the freak? We already know what that was. We already know. We watched enough of these videos to know what that was. Whatever she saw wasn't a little kid. Wasn't a little kid. We know this. Yeah, friend, how you not gonna save your mama? How you not gonna? She was like, oh, you stay down there. All I can tell you is shut your door. It ain't me. You better call out my daddy. Like, what? Friend? No, that's the one person I'm saving. If I don't say nobody else, I'm saving my mom and my grandmother. That everybody else, okay, you figure it out. But my mom and my grandmama are getting saved. I'm going to be there for them. Y'all wilding out. She wilding out. She was just like, nah, my son right here. I don't know what to tell you, boo. Because how, like, she was talking about, is it my siblings? You know, if your mama mistake, that don't even sound right. Your kid, I'm assuming, is a toddler at least to be sleeping in the bed with you. You had to go back home. I'm assuming that you had just had that baby. That's the reason why you had to go home to your parents' house. So you know your siblings, you know how old your siblings are and how tall your siblings are. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. I'm upset. I'm upset because it was a cliffhanger and I'm upset that she left her mama. And I'm girl, bye. Girl, bye, because what are we doing? I'm glad your mama didn't come out there and see what was going on. She ain't come save you because you ain't save her. Subscribe.